of us, even if it's just stopping in to say thank you for their support of AM 950 and our local communities. See all of our advertisers at am950radio.com.
Hi, this is Paul Metza inviting you to listen to the Wall of Power Radio Hour. We have been on the air on AM 950 for over 5 years, over 200 original shows in the can, including musicians, artists, promoters, authors, comedians, and more. We're on the air Saturdays at 6 p.m. If you'd like to advertise, get a hold of us at am950radio.com and stay tuned this weekend, Wall of Power Radio Hour.
Come on, you know it's true. Work is almost bearable when the Stephanie Miller Show is on. AM 950 KTNF, St. Louis Park, Minneapolis, St. Paul, the progressive voice of Minnesota.
I'm Rick Smith, and this is Labor History in 2. On this day in labor history, the year was 1892. At 3 a.m., an alarm sounded in the town of Homestead, Pennsylvania. The steelworkers who lived in the town were on strike. Andrew Carnegie was the owner of the mill, located just outside of Pittsburgh. The Carnegie Steel Company was making massive profits, a record $4.5 million just before the 1892 confrontation. Even so, Andrew Carnegie was determined to lower the cost of production by breaking the union. As the union's 3-year contract was coming to an end in 1892, the company demanded drastic wage cuts. During the contract negotiations, management didn't make proposals to negotiate, instead issued ultimatums to the union. The local newspaper pointed out that it was not so much a question of disagreement as to wages, but a design upon labor organization. The manager of the mill, Henry Clay Frick, tried to bring in the Pinkerton National Detective Agency, which was known for infiltrating unions and breaking strikes. The workers were determined not to let the Pinkertons into the mill. For 14 hours, the workers battled with the Pinkertons and attempted to sink their barge. At the end of the battle, 9 workers and 3 Pinkertons lay dead. 4 days later, 8,500 National Guard forces were sent at Frick's request to take control of the town and steel mill. After winning his victories, Frick announced, "Under no circumstances will we have any further dealings with the Amalgamated Association as an organization. This is final." This incident is worth remembering because today, many people are intent on crushing any attempts by workers to organize.
I was born in the cold fields of Kentucky. I moved north in 73.
Labor History in 2 brought to you by the Illinois Labor History Society and the Rick Smith Show.
All right, everybody in the car. Let's go.
What are we going to do first when we get there, Mom? Go for a hike?
Sure, if you want.
What about canoeing? Can we go canoeing too?
I don't see why.
What about a bike ride? No, I want to fish.
Oh,
I've never been fishing.
Honey, we can do it all.
How long does it take to get to the forest?
It's not.
Is it going to be long?
No, sweetie.
I bet it takes forever.
It's not that far.
Are we there yet?
Yep, we're here.
Already? No way. Come on.
It's a short drive from your neighborhood to your naturehood. Visit discovertheforest.org to find a neighborhood park or green space near you. Also, find fun activities to do like boating and biking or camping and hiking, plus much more. It's all right in your naturehood. A public service announcement brought to you by the Ad Council and the U.S. Forest Service.
Coming up this Saturday morning from 7 to 8 a.m. right here on AM 950. It's the Gardening with Joy and Holly radio show from 7 to 8 a.m. We'll be discussing what trees might be best for your property, as well as dangerous bugs in your backyard. Our guest is clinical herbalist Dina Falcone, and we'll answer your garden questions. That's all this Saturday morning from 7 to 8 a.m. right here on AM 950. Catch the replay Sunday mornings from 7 to 8 a.m.
Hi, this is Laura, and I want to tell you about my family's favorite thing. It's our wood stove. We bought it about 14 years ago from Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces. And see, the wood stove has actually paid for itself because we can keep the main area that we live in toasty warm with this great moist heat. But more important than saving money, it has actually improved our lives. Having a fire simplifies life. It provides comfort. It sort of takes the chill out of winter.
I'm Peter Solak. In 1977, I started Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces, and I experienced the simple joy of warming myself by a fire. I also realized that the place and the way we embrace fire has evolved in a diversity of forms and styles. So at Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces, we have brought together the widest selection of our fireplace products and technical knowledge in the Twin Cities. Our mission is to use our knowledge to help you choose the design and function that is right for you and your home.
Visit Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces today and find the right fire for you.
Right now, gas prices are up there, but don't worry. Fuel efficiency is easy to obtain with a great hybrid model from Rudy Luther Toyota. The Prius, the Camry, the Corolla, the Highlander, and the RAV4, all of them have hybrid models offering you amazing fuel efficiency while you never once have to sacrifice style. RudyLuther.com is the first place to stop to see all their inventory. Rudy Luther Toyota has vehicles to test drive on the lot right now. Find the Toyota Hybrid, which works with your lifestyle, and get it delivered. Rudy Luther Toyota, 394 and 169 in Golden Valley.
My name's Michaela. When I got back from Iraq, I became pregnant and ended up homeless. Counselors helped us apply for VA supportive housing.
VA offers programs to help eligible veterans stay healthy, find a job, and secure or maintain safe, stable housing.
My life works now. I got help from VA, and now I'm on a mission to share these resources.
If you or a veteran you know is homeless or at immediate risk of becoming homeless, call 877-424-3838.
Green light. Hey girl, school zone. I'm getting hungry. Car changing lanes. You want to meet me for pizza? Stop sign. Intersection clear. Yeah, street. Pizza sounds good. Ballin Street? Girlin Street!
It's hard to concentrate on two things at once, like texting and driving. Stop the text, stop the wrecks. How will you stop texting and driving? Tell us at stoptextstopwrecks.org. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Portions of the following program may be pre-recorded.
Good morning, and welcome to Connections Radio Show, where we talk about ideas that matter. I'm glad you've made the connection and are with us today. I'm Laurie Fitz, your host, and the goal of our show is to explore a wide range of topics that challenge us to see ourselves, our community, and the world around us in ways that get us thinking, get us talking, get us wondering, get us imagining, get us connected, and perhaps inspired or challenged to do just a bit more because we've made the connection. I'm glad you're with us today. We're going to take a journey. Someone once told me that one of the best journeys that you can take is a good conversation. So we'll have a good conversation on our adventure and our journey. We have a delightful guest and a terrific co-host. My co-host is Rick Bernardo. He is an ethicist, a teacher, an advocate, a writer, a musician, a comedian, and is challenged himself to look for connections in life and exploring ways of living grounded in ethics.
Good morning.
Good morning. And we have generous Josine Peters. She is a lot of wonderful things, a miracle coach, a transformational healer. She works with energy. She's a conscious facilitator. She's a continuing education provider, a public speaker, a workshop leader, and she loves film, art, dance, and song. All of those are part of her resume of things that she does. And as we were getting ready for this show and we were exploring, well, what do we want to share? What do we want to do? What are the ideas that we want to manifest? And it came back very often that we were talking about being connected to our ancestors as well. How are we being guided? What are those connections? What does that look like? And I was moved to look up Chief Seattle. And when he was offered land to be purchased from the Native Americans, he had a speech that he made, an oration. And the great Chief Washington is how he started it off. He referred to our presidents as the chief in Washington, sends word that he wishes to buy our land. The great chief also sends us words of friendship and goodwill. This is kind of him, since we know he has little need of friendship in return. But we will consider your offer, for we know that if we do not sell, the white man may come with guns and take our land. How can you buy or sell the sky, the warmth of the land? The idea is strange to us. If we do not own the freshness of the air and the sparkle of the water, how can you buy them from us? But we will decide in our time. What Chief Seattle says is the great chief in Washington can count on us as truly as our white brothers can count on the return of the seasons. My words are like the stars. They do not set. Every part of this earth is sacred to my people. Every shining pine needle, every sandy shore, every mist in the dark woods, every clearing and humming insect is holy in the memory and experience of my people. The sap which courses through the trees carries the memories of the red man. We are part of the earth, and it's part of us. The perfumed flowers are our sisters, the deer, the horse, the great eagle. These are our brothers. The rocky crests, the juices of the meadow, the body heat of the pony and man, all belong to the same family. So when the great chief in Washington sends us word that he wishes to buy our land, he asks much of us. And it just struck me after all our conversations that we were looking at, some of the different ways our spirit connects. And how do we navigate in a world that has very different ideas about what connections is, what does it mean to be successful? What does it mean to feel good about ourselves? What are the paths that we take? And very often it starts off in judgmental. And I'd love to have you share with us. You shared some wonderful, powerful stories about looking at judgment and how that disconnects.
Yeah. And again, this is Josine Peters, or otherwise known as Generous Joe. But you go ahead, Josine. We haven't heard your voice yet this morning.
I've been moaning here. Yeah. So you're keeping it real right away, Laurie, with what Chief Seattle is saying. And I love that we get to the realness of life, because life is an illusion to me. It's like we're in a movie and we're watching ourselves, and we're beating ourselves up for our performance a lot.
Oh, yeah.
And so as a coach, that's what I work with people. I often reflect back to them what they're holding out to me, and I just reframe it. I just say, well, what if we said it this way? What if you could talk to yourself in this tone? What if we could laugh with it? Which you guys are both really good, in your lifestyles. You have brought humor in, especially Rick, whom I know, and he's my connection. Talk about connections. He's the reason I'm sitting here naked under my clothes. Thank you, Rick, for that freedom.
As we are all, no matter what, I guess, right?
It's good to be with you in that, in our skin bags, right? Yeah. So the judgment, as humans, we have to judge. And often I use 12-step work, which is, addiction, the dis-ease of the mind. And I talk about how we need to judge the road. We need to judge the path we're on. But when we start doing anything where we're overthinking, I love thinking about thinking while thinking, but when we run amok, that's where we get into trouble a little bit.
I think overthinking is definitely a challenge, but I also think when it's more about me and what I want versus us.
Yep. I want what I want when I want it.
Yeah. When it's the us against them and me against them, and justifying judgments based on what I think I need. To me, it all comes down to greed. If we're being greedy, how do you analyze it? It's not greedy to look and make judgments about the road as to whether or not you're in survival. That's important. That's good guidance. That's, being aware. But when you go one step further and it's really about me and self-aggrandizement or, just making myself happy and not thinking about us and community and my impact in community.
And Chief Seattle put it into words where it took it. What he did is he didn't solidify it and put it into a market and say, yeah, we can give you this much land for this much. Or he made it spiritual.
Yes.
And when we speak to each other on that level, we're not ungrounding ourselves necessarily. We're grounding ourselves in the spirit we are. So we're human. We're fully human. We want what we want when we want it. And desire is good. I always say, a lot of people, were raised in certain types of modalities of belief and things like that, that what we have is this idea of what we are and what we believe, and to just be free with that. And if there's agony and ecstasy, go for the ecstasy. Why can't we have ecstasy? Your life can change in a split second. And we always think that's a car accident or whatever, which I was just in 2 months ago. But it can change for the good. You can have a nervous breakthrough instead of a nervous breakdown.
Or break up. Instead of a breakdown. I know that you'll go ahead. You have a question.
I just had for my own brain, it was a callback. So I met you at a table 4 or 5 years ago when Siad Abdullahi and many others such as you just were in the face of Trump stopping people from all of a sudden snap a finger. If you're from an Islamic or African country, you can't come here, like virtually overnight. I look back and I go, yeah, that was just the least of racist policies. But there were people and friends in our communities who were suddenly feeling attacked, and their families were being separated from them and so forth. So that was how you and I met, was in a gathering, a community gathering, to say, what can we do to get through this? And I'm not from Africa, but we all know people. And so we were thinking, what can we do? It was called a survival toolkit meeting. But there's a good example of like the me and us and them sort of thinking, taking over, which is really a child's view, I think, very often, but not the grown-up child. Anyway, do you remember meeting me there? Maybe that's where. All right.
And that kind of thing is, our self-protection is beautiful if we believe we're not spirit. If we just stay in that human mode, we have to protect ourselves against the elements and all kinds of things. But man, Minnesotans, we're here in Minnesota. These are people who are out in their shorts running like you, Rick, in the middle of winter. And I've always been amazed to live here. I'm trying to move out of territory and out of culture soon, but because I'm selling my home. But that is something I've just been amazed with. And we believe in attack as humans. And I think because we have that, we think that's a good way to stop some action. And we believe in the command form of English. Like, stop that. Don't run in the street. Don't do that. Absolutely not. Those kind of things. And when we can have mercy, 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 that is where love starts coming in. And I told you guys I want to come and talk about love. So I'm putting love in here right away.
And we will. Because I do think ultimately, as we're looking at connection, it's through the love. That's what we tap into that allows us to have it come together and connect. Love of the tree that you want to sit next to, love of a friend that you care about and want to spend time with, falling in love. Those are all things that we hunger for connection. And we seek in ways sometimes that aren't as healthy in finding that connection. And how do we navigate? And I love the fact that that's your hope, is to work with people to help them find that path for themselves.
Yeah, and I believe that hope is not the opposite of hopelessness.
Right.
Certainty
Right.
is. So I go for certainty.
Gotcha. And I really want to listen for and look at what does love look like in all these different areas that we're going to talk about in the next few portions of our broadcast.
Which brings this portion to a close. Joe, would you share your email address in case folks would like to connect with you and learn more about how you work on an individual basis with folks?
And my friends are laughing now because I'm not good with emails, but I love that form for my
I could tell them.
able to sort. Yeah, it's Generous Joe. So just J-O is my nickname at gmail.com. So GENEROUSJO@gmail.com.
And we'll be right back after just a few commercials, and we'll be talking more about possibilities and curiosity as well as love. So stay with us.
Would you let animals pick your insurance? Do you really need to experience mayhem to get the best rates? Or how about a celebrity quarterback or fake university saving you money? There's a lot of marketing stunts when it comes to insurance, but what you really need is someone looking out for you. Call Array Insurance, and they will work hard to find you the best insurance coverage and rates. So avoid gimmicks and call Cheryl at Array, 763-504-3067, or arrayinsurance.com. Array Insurance, working hard for you.
I'm Candy Brothel, publisher of the Twin Cities edition of Natural Awakenings magazine and host of Green Tea Conversations, a news show for people who are on a journey to take responsibility for their health and play a more active role in their family's well-being. Join me every Sunday at 10 a.m. as I interview local experts who share the latest in natural holistic approaches in a fun and informative way. So grab a cup of tea and join the conversation as we awaken to natural health. Visit us at naturaltwincities.com.
Hi, I'm Scott Shambot from Shambot Family Dentistry. We're the fear-free, shame-free dental office. If you're having a dental emergency, we'll try and get you in the same day you call because we don't like to see anyone in pain. And we'll help you get through every appointment in the most pain-free way possible. As my daughter Rachel says,
if you don't see my dad, please see another dentist. Take care of your teeth because they're the only ones you get.
Shamblat Family Dentistry in Hopkins and St. Paul. Find them online at shamblatfamilydentistry.com or call 1-800-FIX-MY-TEETH.
Aho, this is Robert Pilot of Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake. On our show, we talk about Native issues like treaty violations, protecting the water, and COVID in our Native communities. Weekly correspondents like Winona LeDuc, Dr. Stately, State Senator Mary Kunesh, and Bob Blake update us with Native news that you won't hear anywhere else. Native issues are human issues, and human issues are Native issues. Join us weeknights from 6 to 7 p.m.
Hi, folks. This is Kirk Bankstad from Wisconsin's Minocqua Brewing Company, and our progressive beer is now available in Minneapolis. Yes, you Vikings can now buy Biden Beer, Bernie Brew, AOC IPA, and Kamala, a strong vice presidential stout, without having to travel across the border. And the best news yet is that 5% of the proceeds of each beer you buy go to keeping Wisconsin blue.
Drink progressively with Minocqua Brewing. Get their progressive beers at Top Value Liquor in Columbia Heights and Falls Liquor in Minneapolis. Find other Twin Cities locations at MinocquaBrewingCompany.com.
Hi, I'm Scott Peterson with the Minnesota News Network, inviting you to join us this week for Minnesota Matters, a news, entertainment, and sports show covering everything that matters in the North Star State. Tune us in right here or at your convenience at MinnesotaNewsNetwork.com.
Listen to Minnesota Matters every weekend, Sunday mornings at 6:30 on AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota.
Welcome back to Connections Radio Show, where we talk about ideas that matter. I'm Laurie Fitz, your host, and we have Rick Bernardo as my co-host.
That's me.
That's you, who's a terrific guy and who lives his life finding connections and exploring ways of living grounded in ethics, cutting right down to the essence.
Oh, yeah. I don't know. Always experience the essence, but yes, thank you.
Yeah. And you brought a guest today.
I'm still Rick, and yes, and we have Josine Peters, who is through 40 years of research and 20 years of coaching in her quest to understand all facets of mind, body, and spirit. Josine's acquired multiple certifications in various modalities and blends this with God, wisdom, and guidance and wonderment. And that's my experience of her, and that's why she's here. Hi. Good morning again.
Good
Good morning. It is a beautiful day in our hearts, too. I
Yes.
love the energy of you both. Good
Well,
to be here.
in our last segment was a very cool exploration of looking at judgment. And you mentioned, I had brought up sometimes we get on an unhealthy path.
Yeah.
And you had some other thoughts about, how healing can sometimes come through unhealthy circumstances.
Yeah. It's seemingly unhealthy because we judge things as good or bad, right or wrong. And I'm really of the idea that there are no opposites, like cause and effect come at the same time, same with problem and solution. And we believe in time. Like a native thought is it's movement, not time. So how we move with things is really the essence.
Man, that's been the literal conversation in physics for the past 5 to 10 years, is that maybe there's no real, it's not a dimension. It's just things move. That's awesome.
Yeah. I mean, you think of Einstein when he was on the shore watching a man on a ship walking the same way he was on the ship, and that movement compared to his on the shore. But the ship was also moving, and his time-space concept, blew his mind, and he went from there into great things.
And he was a man of great curiosity. Physicists, I adore physicists, partly because my father was one, but they're almost childlike with a beginner mind in looking at things at all times, and as to what are the possibilities. What does that look like? And I do believe that curiosity is one way to move towards connections.
Yes, I agree. And it's the antidote to the judgment. So the unhealthy thing, when you're in 12 steps, when you're in addiction and recovery, you can look at an unhealthy life as the savior, the salvation to others. And often it's those who have been down in the muck of life and pulled themselves up, or even while they're still in the muck. Like you can walk into an AA meeting and be drunk. They will not turn you away because you showed up. You had some kind of awareness to be there, to be connected. And that connection is what has saved other people, and they've gone on to have families and connections and bring spirit and love and even joy to others. Where it's often said, people go to meetings, it's like these people are in these dog-bitten lives or whatever, laughing.
And with that laughing, there's connection, obviously, when you laugh. But when you laugh, you both share that moment of joy. But I love what you said about just the desire to show up, the desire to connect, to have that. And I believe that's within all of us. And isolation's easy to slip into, and addiction is easy to create more isolation for ourselves. So what is that spark that allows us to go, I want more and I want to connect?
Yeah. Well, that's a beautiful thing. If anyone's suffered from depression and things like that. And I love this about atheists. A lot of people are like, well, these people have no morals or whatever. Julia Dinsmore is a raised poor person who lectures on that. And she says when she speaks to atheists, they have more values and power because that's their substance, and it's the value and the spirit within them. So they're spiritual people in a way, because that inner spirit is what saves us. It's that little voice that finally says when we've been in bed for a week going, I can't do this. It goes, okay, enough. I'm getting up. At least because I'm hungry. They're spirited about getting something to eat.
And when you're coaching, is that what you're looking for? Is to help find that voice, that point of reference, that desire, that place that is reaching out to connect?
It's funny. That's a really good question on looking and searching. I don't do that so much. I often say I don't have purpose like most people do in life. It's whatever's presented to me. So I just grab it. I grab what they give me, and then I reframe it and hand it back and say, what if? And that's kind of the wonderment. Like, let's be curious about this. What if you said it this way? How would that sit with you and others? And what if you talk to yourself this way?
It's funny. So words are ways to name things, and the older I get, the more I'm like, I'm not so attached to what we're calling it. Sometimes it just works or it doesn't work, and it's an energy. So I would say you definitely have a purpose, but I'm not going to sum it up, and I don't care about what you call it. I can see it. That's enough for me.
Oh yeah, very
Yeah.
purposeful.
Yeah,
It's just
they're
thrown at me
purposeful.
every
Got
day.
it.
I
Yeah,
never know who I'm going to meet. My day
yeah.
is like a year in a day sometimes. I had a man, I was in peer counseling, reevaluation counseling, taught it for 12 years. And a man said, I want to follow you around because you're telling me these things. Like, I just want to follow you for the day. It was weird because that was the day I was served with divorce papers.
Oh my gosh.
As we were walking on a little walk together, the only pause of my day, because we were going. And this was around noon. And he said, you know what? I'm going home and taking a nap.
Oh.
So I'm an energy person. Like me sitting here with you guys, it's like I kind of want to be dancing and singing and
Okay.
But
I'll be over here.
the idea of purposeful in the moment is a cool concept. And you like certainty, and certainty comes pretty close to purpose, but it's not a trajectory that has that no matter what you're going to move forward on. You are in the moment reacting to the given circumstances and what could be the purpose in that moment.
Yeah.
And that's a unique idea.
Wow.
So the thing that comes up for me as you say that is service. Like when I'm in service to others, and I used to be like, I need something back here. I need some love. I need some of this. Come on, what do you got for me? Which is how we believe
the transaction of life.
Yeah,
right?
that you have to give and get. But to give, like if I give you this apple, it feels like I have lost. Now you have the apple and I don't. But when we give love, we can see that. And when we stay in the spirit of it, like we're going to get love back. It feels loving to give love. So therefore you've gotten love.
Once you make that a little bit of a shift there, I think everybody gets that there's honor and gratification in just giving, period. It doesn't have to be either or. That's the other duality that you mentioned before. It doesn't have to be opposite.
Yeah, they come together. And when you can feel that coming together, you're in that state of wonderment. Like, wow, this works. Yeah.
And with that, I think it's a perfect segue for our next segment that will do a deeper dive into love, because that connection, that giving, really is a celebration of love.
So we'll be talking about
we'll
love.
be talking about love.
And
the next,
I'd love to tell you what I love.
All kinds of love.
And we are anxious to hear more about what you love. So we'll be back in just a little bit. There'll be a few commercials here, and then join us, and our coach will coach us through a session of looking at love and perspectives on love.
Hi, this is Chad from AM 950. Snap Construction is arguably the most well-reviewed roofing, siding, window, and insulation contractor in the metro. Ryan is so excited about working with AM 950 and our listeners that he wants to help us grow.
This is Ryan, owner of Snap Construction. I was friends with Chad long before I started marketing with him. I was a bit skeptical of radio advertising before Chad convinced us to run ads. The advertising's been so successful, we want to help the station grow. We've absolutely loved working with the listeners of AM 950, and we all know how extremely important this radio station is to the community. To help AM 950 grow this summer, Snap Construction will be putting up proceeds to assist the station in marketing on social media. Snap Construction encourages you to follow, engage, share, and interact on the AM 950 social media platforms. Together, we can all work to ensure AM 950 continues to thrive and grow in our communities. We stand by our work with a lifetime craftsmanship guarantee. For a free estimate or more information on our financing, call 612-333-SNAP or check us out online.
Next time on Philosophy Talk, comedy and the culture wars.
Comedy these days can get pretty offensive, especially when it comes to race, gender, and religion.
I agree. And that's why comedy like that should be shunned, boycotted, maybe even banned.
No way. Laughing at each other can actually help us to live together.
Is that some kind of joke?
Comedy and the culture wars. Next time on Philosophy Talk.
Philosophy Talk, every Sunday at 8 a.m. on AM 950.
The Park Tavern in St. Louis Park is your summer destination. The patio is amazing, perfect for you and your friends to grab dinner and drinks. Enjoy a game of cornhole while you indulge in the great food. The full Park Tavern menu is available outside. The Park Tavern also has live music on the patio every Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and even some Mondays through the summer. Reservations are highly recommended. And if the weather does turn, the bowling lanes at the Park Tavern are always open and are spectacular. On Louisiana Avenue, north of Highway 7 in St. Louis Park, the perfect summer is waiting for you at the Park Tavern.
Hey everybody, this is Gregory Rich, founder of Habitation Furnishing and Design and host of Drink in the Style. Say, I'm willing to bet that you're hearing this in your car and there's a good chance that you're heading home. If that's the case, let me ask you, are you looking forward to getting there? Is your home a place that energizes? Well, if it isn't, it might be time for a furnishings refresh. Think about it. We've all spent a lot of time at home over the past couple of years, and maybe you need more than just a new sofa. Why not have a skilled, professional, tasteful interior designer from Habitation help you create a space that is exceptional? Whether it's your family room, living room, bedroom, or even home workspace, Habitation can help you create an environment that is exactly what you've always wanted. Habitation Furnishing and Design, located at the District Edina, 7777 Washington Avenue South, and online at habitationdesign.com.
Dear John, I'm leaving. Uncontrolled high blood pressure is serious, and I can quit whenever I want. Why can't we get back to when you checked on me? I don't want to leave, but remember, when I quit, you quit. Sincerely, your heart.
Listen to your heart. Don't let it quit on you. High blood pressure can lead to a stroke, heart attack, or death. Get yours to a healthy range today. Find out how at heart.org/blood pressure. A message from the American Heart Association, the American Stroke Association, and the Ad Council.
This is AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota.
Welcome back to Connections Radio Show, where we talk about ideas that matter, and we will be talking about love in this segment. It's always about connections, but exploring how and why and where and what and all that good stuff is part of what we'll talk about today, and in particular in this segment on love. One of the things that hits me the first time that you shared with me about your ride across America
and this
in
is
your bicycle.
This is Josine Peters.
I promise I will.
All right. I'm just witnessing. Say hallelujah.
I'll back up and I'll do it the traditional way. I have two wonderful people joining us in this segment. Rick Bernardo, as you know, is my co-host. He is an ethicist, a teacher, an advocate, writer, all sorts of good things, and keeps me on track in terms of making sure that we do the good things of letting people know who we're talking to. And Josine, who is our guest today, and she's also known as Generous Joe, Josine Peters. She is a miracle coach, a love coach, a spirit coach. She's a transformational healer. She works with energy and conscious facilitator, continuing education provider, public speaker, workshop leader, and artist, performing artist and appreciative of the arts. And as I was listening to the commercial coming into this segment, was all about supporting chronic illness, a heart attack, and all of that. I recalled Josine sharing with me that she made a commitment to support the Lung Association by riding across America while pregnant. And that to me is a lot of love. That is love in motion, getting back to motion.
Yeah, well, my father died when I was only 19 of lung cancer. And that was a really hard thing to watch him go through 2 years, just losing his life. Yeah. And I was young, and I even had a younger sister. And so I biked across the United States, and I wanted to be pregnant for it because I wouldn't have my menstrual cycle and could just keep going.
There you go.
My little
practical.
My baby girl was under my heart the whole way, and she's quite the traveler. She's lived all over, and in Bahrain most recently during COVID, and now in Germany. And on the trip, I have my sister now who's in New Zealand. We have oceanic blood in us, right? My brother did the DNA, sampling. And so she's there, and I think she was called there, and she's coming back after 8 years. She used to come back every 2 years. COVID and everything blew that away. And when I was on my trek, I biked the whole time, right? 7.5 weeks. Had one little accident in there. But I was coming up this hill, and this woman couldn't get up the hill who was there was other people also raising funds. And so I got off my bike and walked with her because I didn't want her to, she was just struggling. I just didn't want her to be alone with that. And I'm walking up, and at the top is a tree. And I'm like, we can get under that shade. And I see this station wagon, which was my mom's station wagon. And it has the earth symbol, and it says, love your mother on the back of it. And it's my sister, Teresa, Tree, I call her, and she goes by T now, waiting there. She came into town, drove halfway across the United States to meet me there. And I'm walking, not biking. I'm like, oh, she's going to think I'm a wimp. But she was just there to love me up. And it was just such a
love
beautiful
fest.
Yeah. So those kind of things, where you jump into life and you do things that seem impossible. A lot of people were like, what? You biked while pregnant? And it was a beautiful thing. It was really good.
I could never do that. Because I've never been pregnant.
True.
But no, really, I just feel that takes my breath away anyway.
Mm-hmm. So as you look at love, tell me how you coach or support people in that process. What is love?
Love is it's beautiful, because I was talking to Queen Siobhan this morning. She called me up knowing I was going to be on the show, and I said, I was talking about love, and she went right where I would go. And she said, it's not a noun. It's it's a verb. It's an action. And I think you be love in order to do love, and you do love in order to be love. And when I coach people, I love to say this, especially I do a little dating coaching too. I've been dating for 25 years. I say, hey, I always assume they love you. So when your partner or the person you're, just kind of sitting down for coffee with, and they say something stupid, just assume they're there to try to be of love. And we can love someone before we like them. You can jump in front of a train and push someone out of the way or whatever.
And that's a form of love.
Yeah, a loving act. And then you find out their politics and you hate them. So you don't like them, but you love them.
It could be a background of love. Sure. Gotcha. Yeah. Wow. When one of the best lessons for me was when my parents divorced, and I went back for holidays, and they had us. I was still just in graduate school, but I had a younger brother and sister. We had a Christmas together though, and I got that they were still committed to be there not only for us kids, but each other, but just not married now. And I got it was hard for them. But ever since, they always talk about each other with reverence and care and compassion, even when they're not around with each other anymore, which they weren't for decades. But I get that once you love somebody, you love somebody. It could just look different.
Yeah, I think that's what we do in relationship. We explore the possibilities of what the relationship should look like. And I love it when people do that. They do it through therapy. I don't do therapy, I do coaching. So I try to coach them toward, make it work for you. And that might mean divorce or separation or just that moving away to come together.
And your relationship may not look like the next relationship or someone else's relationship, because that's getting back to that comparison and judging where you are in relationship.
Yeah.
What is it that you really need in the relationship? And is that being fulfilled? Is that being supported? Is that, are you connecting? And in what ways?
And here's one thing. I worked for a few years with Women of Nations, a domestic violence shelter. There were a lot of people that were, but I love him. All right. So, and you've worked within prison systems and so forth. There's a lot of really abusive relationships, and the people love each other. What is love supposed to look like
and there can
there?
be excuses too, like he didn't mean to, or she wouldn't want that.
Well,
it's just that it happened in this. Yeah.
One thing that would come up is like loving someone doesn't mean being dishonest about what's really happening.
Yeah.
Either. But you go ahead.
In 12 steps, they say we don't take lovers, we take hostages. So that's the addiction love, where you can't see what's best for you and what's best for them. and you can't call it out. So often people say you shouldn't change your partner. And I say, no, you want a partner who has your back and will help you get to it. It's not forcing them to change. Like, you need to stop drinking, but it's the kind of backing off where you say it once. They know it. They know how you feel. They know what you want and what you don't want and how you feel. And that's the love language I teach. I teach a feeling language. There's more to it. That's the tip of the iceberg. But it gets to, what are you thinking? And then they get to take their thinking to the place they can. And eventually they'll tell you what works for them and how they're stuck, and all that juicy stuff can come up.
If they're being violent, though, then what?
Well, the violence, the violence is a step thing. It doesn't go up and down, up and down. So I was a fundraiser for the Domestic Abuse Project and learned this, and it's a step. So each time it gets a little higher and higher, and it keeps escalating. So it gets worse and worse. So at the beginning, when someone's just screaming at you, and I come from a fighting family, loud family, I call it. That's the point where you want to be able to take it, not run out of the room, and just stay with them while they're getting that out. It's often, hurt people. But once it gets past that, if it escalates, you need to exit. And that's loving.
Yes.
Like, get away.
That's
They don't
hard
want
to
to
get.
hurt you.
That's
They
really
don't
hard
want to
to
be thrown in jail. They don't want to go to that place. They're choosing to.
They're being run by something there.
Right. And so for you to get away from that, just like get away from the fire. Don't put your hand on the fire.
And that's being able to help them make their own healthy choice. This is not safe for me. Right. And I need to be at a place where I feel safe. And you can present that as a choice, in that I need these things for me to feel safe. But if you choose not to, that's your choice. I'm not going to be here.
Well, and that's a beautiful thing about a loving society, is we're really cookie cutter, and we make laws for all people, and we're all unique, yet we're all human and earthlings. But when you can go, okay, not only giving people choice, and we're looking at women in choice right now, and with the domestic abuse, it's choosing to be able to leave. And so I coach people on choose again, choose differently, choose again. It's choice, keep the choice. But we have to give them the means for choice. Do you have an escape plan? Domestic Abuse Project will teach that. Keep your clothes in the trunk, have your children where you can wake them up and get them to aunties or whoever's home. But if they don't have that means, if they don't have relatives who they can turn to, or a safe place, or even a car to escape with, then they don't have the choice, really.
So that's an extreme example I picked because there's a lot to learn there about what love could really look like. And it's really confusing when you're in the middle of it. You think, but I love him. And it's like, these distinctions are important compared to all the Barry White. We're talking about love, baby, which is a whole different kind of context where people are connecting, and it's clearly safe in those songs to be romantic love.
Yeah, and you also had the soul shouting quote.
Oh, I do have that quote, but it's a Quincy Jones quote about the deeper truths in humor. He said, I always thought laughter is the soul's way of shouting, ain't it the truth? And there is love and joy in noticing that. And even, I wrote an article on laughter years ago in graduate school, and I had this thought, is once you're laughing with people, you love them. Just in that moment, you're just in love with everything and everybody.
Yeah. And my family, which has a lot of strife, we're dysfunctional. We're raised in an alcoholic home. One thing we can do is laugh. And my cousins used to come over, because we'd be out on the deck. And I grew up with 12 people in one family on one side of us and 10 on the other in Big Lake, Minnesota, and 8 of us in the middle, right? So all these cousins. And they'd come over and go, you guys are laughing. And we used to say, we can't talk about politics and we can't talk about religion because we had diversity. I don't know if it's the right kind of diversity, but it was there. But we could talk about sex. So we have really good sex jokes in my family. And this is a Catholic family.
Awesome.
It's interesting that I'll need to leave on that note. We'll just have people wonder, what kind of jokes your family shared.
It's a good tease.
But I do have to wrap up this segment. We'll come back. We'll continue a little bit more on love, but we'll also be thinking about what are some personal ways to think about connection and things that you can advise us on? And before we go out of this segment, please share your email in case folks would like to consider working with you as your coach.
Yeah. And just any questions you might have at generousjo@gmail.com. GENEROUSJO@gmail.
Terrific. And we'll be right back to hear more about love and connection.
Hi, I'm Peter Solak.
And I'm Adam Ostrowski.
We are here at Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces to talk about the joy of live fire cooking. Cooking over a live fire is the oldest and most basic form of cooking.
What's new is in the way fire is handled and its heat is managed.
It's easier to experience and enjoy the smell and taste of food cooked over a live fire.
Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces sells and installs live fire grills, fire pits, and ovens. Let us help you experience the smell, the taste, the fun of cooking with fire.
Pizza was first made and is still best made in an open fire oven. The radiant and conductive heat of a live fire is unmatched for wood roasting and baking artisan breads too.
Come see the many ways you can cook over a live fire.
Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces has over 35 working wood and gas units on display at the corner of East Franklin and Riverside Avenue in Minneapolis. More information at woodlandstoves.com. Find the fire that works for you. Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces. Out of the ordinary products and services since 1977.
Hey, it's Patrick for Zero Res. Hot July days are best enjoyed with family and friends at the backyard barbecue with your favorite summer foods. But before you know it, you've got those sticky pop spills and barbecue stains all over the place. Lucky for you, Zero Res can get those sweet sticky messes out of your home with no problem. Zero Res has your back on carpet, tile, area rug, and upholstery cleanings, and their experienced technicians know the best care for each of the unique surfaces in your home. And don't forget about your air ducts. If they're dirty, your indoor air quality suffers. Trust the cleaning heroes at Zero Res to safely clean years of built-up dust and gunk out of your air ducts as your air conditioner swirls through the summer. Schedule your summer cleaning today at ZeroResMinnesota.com with the AM 950 special to get 3 rooms of carpet clean starting at just $129 and take $100 off any air duct cleaning service. Backward or forward spells the same. Zero Res.
Check out the award-winning Hazel's Northeast in Minneapolis on the corner of 29th and Johnson for a delicious meal any time of the day. Breakfast favorites include Jean's Mean Fried Egg Sandwich and the Drunken Banana French Toast. While for dinner, try selections like the fabulous Swedish meatballs or wild rice gumbo. Hazel's Northeast is located on the corner of 29th Avenue and Johnson Street, just a few minutes away from 35W. View Hazel's menu, make a reservation, or place a takeout order at hazelsnetogo.com.
This is New Beginnings, hosted by award-winning broadcaster and speaker Freddie Bell.
Freddie, this generation of the baby boomers, people are living longer, so the baby boomers are taking care of elderly parents.
Let's talk about your health, and specifically, let's talk about Medicare. Our show features the concerns of America's 78 million baby boomers in employment, finance, health and nutrition, and even entertainment.
Join us for New Beginnings, Saturday mornings at 11, brought to you in part by Vision Loss Resources.
Welcome back to Connections Radio Show. We're wrapping up with Love Connections. Sounds like a TV show from the 70s.
Love Connection, baby.
It isn't. We're in the here and now. I'm Laurie Fitz, your host. My co-host is Rick Bernardo. Thank you, Rick, for bringing such a lovely guest.
Hi, you're welcome.
And
everybody is welcome.
Yes, give a quick intro for those who are just joining us. Of Josine, Generous Joe.
Josine, I met years ago at a connection gathering to protect people in our communities, and she's a miracle coach, dating coach. We were just talking about different kinds of love, and basically she wanted to, she's expert at talking about how do we deal with people in the way that's most loving and productive and full of wonder. So where did we leave
Wonderment.
Wonderment.
Yeah,
and you have some organizations you want to do some shout outs for.
Yeah, I want to tell you what I love and love to do. And where, they say to go for obsession rather than passion, but I just am passionate without the obsession. And I think that's okay. And right now I work with Native people. and especially the Mendota tribe. That's the Mendota Mendawakatan, and they're unaffiliated. They have no federal recognition. Their land would be Fort Snelling and most of the airport.
Yeah.
And they're right at the Medote, which is the confluence of the Minnesota and Mississippi rivers. And that's the epicenter of the world, the spiritual place, for them. When you think about us as Minnesotans and the Mississippi, I love that we, with our progressive, loving ways, we can trickle that down the Mississippi to everywhere,
to the world.
Yeah, there you go.
All the way down to
into
the
ocean.
Gulf and into the ocean. You also have Dakota heritage.
A little bit, yeah. We're I'm oceanic, and we
Irish.
think it's Irish. Oh, Irish is very tribal. I love my Irish self. But my father was an only child, so all those cousins I talked about were on my mom's side. And my mother was German, but a redhead and a feisty. She was a really graceful woman. She had a lot of grace. Anyway, so I'm a mixed mutt, and I like that. And we don't know our exact heritage. It was often hidden, so children would be taken to boarding schools. But I have some artifacts that my dad had collected, and so I have a medicine bag, and it's his initials in beaded work, JP, which are my initials, Josine Peters. So
Awesome.
it's really cool to have that. Yeah.
Are there a few other organizations that you wanted to make mention of?
Yeah, I work with Growing North on the north side. So some mornings I get to wake up and take my neighbors, 2 young Ojibwe men, Gabe and Michael. Yay, shout out to you guys.
Hey.
I bring them to the north side of Minneapolis, where we have 17 vacant lots from the city. We have to use fire hydrants often to water what they plant there. So they're in the dirt growing clean food. And we use that food, we outfit powwows. We give it to people in the neighborhood. It's used for meals for them during the summer while they're working there. And so Zinkalaluta is a Dakota program of that. There's also Project Sweetie Pie, which Michael Chaney's a part of. And so I get to be behind that and love that up too.
I also want to make sure before we end, we only have about 3-4 minutes, that you give your email one more time. If folks would like to connect with you in any way, whether that be having you be a coach or a consultant or a support, would love to have them know about how to reach you.
Yeah, it's generousjoe@gmail.com. So GENEROUSJO@gmail.
And when you come back, we'll definitely talk about how you got that Generous Joe.
I'm working in the prison. Yeah. My one sister, I heard, hated it. She goes, I'm not going to reply to her emails because what is this Generous Joe thing?
I think it's wonderful. Well, we talked about having at the very end of our program just some things that each of us feel are powerful in terms of our connection. And I know, Rick, you shared.
Yeah, I had something come up when we were speaking, and that the times I feel really connected sometimes is when one of the reasons I work out the way I do is because if I'm running or lifting weights, I have to stop thinking or I hurt myself. You have to focus and just be in your body. And I just realized I had never shared this. When I'm running and I'm finally warmed up and I'm in the sun and I'm older than most everybody in the world right now, and I feel my body is still working.
Yeah,
I swear I feel some ancestor from not just Sicily but Africa running in my body. So I get chills. So, but anyway, that's like, talk about connection. That's kind of creepy, but awesomely wonderful.
Yeah.
For me, the one place I go and I don't have a internal monologue, and that's how the voice is running in your head of all the things that you need to do, is when I go into my barn and I'm with my horses. And my greatest connection is when I can be detangling their mane, and just spending time in detangling is a place that allows me a sense of peace and wonder. It's the wonderment.
And I'm a water child. Even though I'm a sun sign, I like to reflect off the water. So being around water and just diving into that velvet and swimming, I like to be swimmingly sensuous in life.
And what I'd like to encourage everyone to do is to find that place of wonder this week. Where is that? Notice it. be open to it. Be open to the wonder of the day and what can be brought into it. And stay with us. We'll bring Generous Joe back and explore more ways how connections can be real for us. So
love.
Yeah, love. Thank you for being with us today on Connections Radio Show.
Thanks a bunch.
We're glad that you made the connection with us. And
My pleasure.
And we look forward to having us all this week find special connections in our heart and in our friendships and our relationships and our work. They're there, and they're there for us.
I'm smiling.
No matter if you're eating out or cooking something at home, eatlocalminnesota.com has you covered with a list of locally owned restaurants and food purveyors. Locally owned Vinaigrette has been offering the finest olive oil and vinegar since 2009. Reintroduce yourself to all the many flavors by tasting before you buy. From darker white balsamic to cold-pressed extra virgin olive oil from all over the world, there is something for everyone. Vinaigrette, located at 50th and Xerxes in Minneapolis, or at vinaigrettemn.com. The Park Tavern is your go-to destination for fun. Enjoy the fantastic food like their pizzas, burgers, and sandwiches, the best bowling in Minnesota, their wildly popular outdoor patio, great drink specials, all the big games on their numerous screens, and it's the perfect place for your next private event, even large gatherings for over 200. The Park Tavern is your go-to destination for everyone. Have fun at the Park Tavern, Louisiana Avenue, north of Highway 7 in St. Louis Park.
Standing Up to the Hatriots, the David Pakman Show, weekdays at 2 p.m.